they get nervous.
I'm as cool as a cucumber on ice.
Wow. Of course. If I were marrying someone as handsome as Charles, I'd be happy too.
He's alright, I guess.
All right. He's an Adonis.
If you're into that kind of thing.
Well, I think he's handsome and kind and wonderful. And it doesn't hurt that he's got a great career.
You marry him then.
What's the matter?
Can I tell you a secret? I'm not going to marry Charles.
What? Who are you marrying then?
Nobody.
I think all the guests at the wedding are going to be very surprised.
They'll get over it. Life's better with a few surprises. That's the problem with most weddings nowadays anyways. It's, will you take this man? Will you take this woman? Everybody always says I do. What is news? This will give people something to talk about.
You're going to say no?
I'm not cruel. I'm just not going.
How can you not go to your own wedding? Your name is on the program. There are 300 people coming.
Yes, it will be very exciting. I was happy to hear my wedding was going to be well attended. You'll have to tell me about it.
Mother's going to have a heart attack. Again. And what about Charles? He's mad about you.
He's mad about himself, and besides, he isn't that wonderful. He smells like cabbage.
He's Irish. They all smell like that.
Look, I'm fine with the whole wedding thing. It's the marriage I'm not keen on. Can you imagine me getting manacled? What am I going to do? Have a baby and get boring?
Yes.
I'm not doing it. I've got an entire life to live, and that doesn't include becoming Mrs. Boiled Cabbage and raising 50 red-haired babies.
Oh, where did you get 50 babies? I thought you were only having one.
Once you start, they just keep coming.
Maybe you should have thought of this before you said yes to him.
Well, I changed my mind.
When?
30 seconds after I said yes.
Why didn't you take it back?
Well, he was dancing around and everything. I didn't want to hurt his feelings. And besides, what was I supposed to say? Oh, I thought you asked if I wanted to marinate the chicken. I got a problem with my ears, that's all.
This is ridiculous.
Marriage is a prison. Do you know any happily married women?
Mother,
That's a facade. She's tortured.
she sings almost every day.
To mask the terrible disappointment she feels. Think about it. Once you're married, that's it. No one buys you flowers, no one takes you to dances, and if a man wants to kiss you, you have to ask your husband for permission. No, sir, not for me.
You can't just go around kissing people.
Well, too late, because that's what I've been doing. And let me tell you, there are plenty of good kissers out there, and I haven't found them all yet.
You have to go, Evelyn.
I'm glad you see my point. I've already bought a train ticket.
To where?
New York City.
You can't go there by yourself.
What? You think they've got wolves patrolling the border or something? New York is the bee's knees.
So what are you going to tell Charles? I'm writing him a letter.
No. This is where I need your help.
I am not telling him for you.
I'm not asking you to tell him.
He's going to be crushed, you know.
I don't want to hurt him. Which is why I'm going to do what any sensible young girl would do in this situation. Fake me on it.
What?
It's the perfect way out. This way, his feelings aren't hurt, he gets plenty of sympathy from the other guests, and they can still use all their catering for the wedding.
You're not serious.
I am. It can't be that difficult. People do it all the time.
What people?
You don't know because you think they're dead. Look in the obituaries. I bet half of those are fakes.
Why don't you just tell him you don't want to marry him?
It's our wedding day. It's a little late for that. Now, there's a couple good ways we could go about this. On the one hand, I've been working on a pretty nice suicide note.
Wait a minute. You don't think that his fiance's suicide on their wedding day won't hurt his feelings?
You haven't seen the note. It explains it all. I claim to have another husband. In France.
What?
He's a count. We were married at 18. I fled to America to be away from him because he's a monster, so obviously I can't marry Charles because I'm already married. See, it's not his fault I'm killing myself.
This story has more holes than Swiss cheese.
It checks out. We were in France 2 years ago on vacation. I could have slipped out for an hour or two, met a count, gotten married. You just have to say that I mentioned it.
And I didn't say anything?
You were keeping my secrets like a good sister.
Evelyn!
Come on, we're sisters. We stand up for each other. We also help each other stage suicides.
What are you going to do about a body?
I'm glad you asked. So here's my plan. You say I jumped off a cliff and my body was washed up this evening.
You wrote a suicide note, walked to a cliff, jumped in the sea, and I watched the entire time?
Well, I imagine you tried to stop me after discovering my heartbreaking letter.
I'm not doing this.
You have to work with a good cry for this.
I'm not an actress.
I tried to stop her. She was so beautiful when she did it. She said, "Don't cry." I said, "Stop, stop." This is the part where you break down a little, like you can barely continue because the grief is so immense. She plunged into the icy water, barely making a splash. Her body is washed up to sea. We'll never find her. Good thing we have all this food for a wait.
That's what you want me to say? You want me to go in front of 100 people, break down in sobs, and lie about how your body was washed out to sea?
And then read my note. Please, Ginny, I would do this for you. You can even tell Mother and Father about it later. Just imagine the scene. Evelyn's alive. She's alive. They'll be leaping up and down. Mother will be crying tears of joy. Father will be thanking God for this happiness. You don't want to deprive them of that, do you? Just one little fib, Ginny. That's it. Evelyn's dead. Her body's washed at the sea. The wedding's off. Let's try the cake. That's it.
Fine.
You'll do it?
I said fine, didn't I?
You're absolutely Ginny.
Fine, I'll help you fake your own death to get out of the wedding.
Yes. Make it beautiful. I want to have it good.
I'll make certain of it.
Now, let's practice. You have to try these things a few times or no one's going to believe you.
No one's gonna believe me anyway.
It's romantic. It's perfect for a wedding. Tell you what, if you like, you can marry Charles.
I am 16, and he doesn't fancy me.
He'll be so distraught after my death, he's likely to go after anything in a dress.
That makes me feel tremendous. Thank you. All right, let me read this nonsense. Dear world and my beloved Charles, how can you call him beloved when you're leaving him at the altar?
I don't want to hurt him, and you can't just jump into the letter. You have to introduce it first. Tell the story of my tragic death.
Must I?
Yes.
Fine.
Cry first. Yeah, that's good, but can I get more of like a choking sob in there though? Like you can barely breathe because the grief is so immense. Alright, get on with it. People are beginning to wonder.
My dear friends, my sister Evelyn can't be here today because she tumbled from a cliff to her doom.
Oh, I like that. Doom, tumble. It's evocative. Puts a nice picture in their minds.
I saw her fall. She had dressed herself in a burlap sack. Her hair, she must have rubbed cow manure in it. I'd never seen it like that before.
Actually, I'd like you to mention how pretty I looked. If possible, it's sadder that way. I don't want people to think I was crazy.
A crazed look in her eye, as if she was fearful and insane. I thought she might hit the water, but she hit cliffside instead, which sent her careening into the abyss, spraying blood. I still hope of finding her, but at that moment, a shark leapt from the turning waves below and snapped her in half. She was still screaming at this point, mostly about how she had lost her legs and was very, very sorry for missing the wedding and putting you nice people out. So, she's dead. Good riddance, I say.
If I could offer some commentary on...
Shh! I'm grieving. She was a dear sister and had gotten plump recently, so I'm sure she provided that predator with a nice meal. She always loved nature. She left a note. I will read it. Dear friends and family, and especially Charles. I'll add that she spelled the word especially wrong.
I did not.
By now you have learned of my tragic and beautiful death. I am terribly sorry I cannot be present to explain the reason for my suicide, but this must suffice. First, dear Charles, I'm not who you believed I was. I was married already to a French peasant named Guido.
I believe it says Count.
I'm altering it for believability. Guido and I met in a public restroom in Paris.
What?
He was a humble plumber, but his rough hands are magic, and we fell in love in several minutes. I was attracted to him despite his awful smell and missing teeth. I knew that my parents would not approve, as he was 50 years my senior. So I kept our love a secret, and even though we could only communicate in grunts and whistles, it was the happiest few hours of my life.
Would you stop?
Goodbye, cruel world, where the love between a hunchback, illiterate, grunting French peasant, and a clever American girl cannot be celebrated. I shall remember you all fondly. I leave all my clothes and worldly possessions to my younger sister, Virginia, who has always been a light for me in difficult times. And then, she's made a series of scene drawings, which I cannot show to you.
You're ruining my death.
You're not dead.
Read it the right way.
Too bad. You can't do anything about it. Maybe you should come to your wedding and read your suicide note yourself.
Maybe I could. Very clever, Ginny. Very clever, but I am not about to show up at my own wedding and read my own suicide note. It's not going to happen.
That's your choice. After I read the note, though, Charles is going to be breathing a big sigh of relief. Dodged a bullet, as they say. It's a very revealing letter. Heaps of terrible secrets you were hiding.
It's not going to work.
Fine.
a big crowd.